So, how do we balance being in that state of joy, laughter, kindness with whatever we are exposed to in everyday life? Because we can't really bypass reality. Dr. Stephen, there are bad things happening in the world. We are going to be exposed to stress, toxicity in the world, toxic people. So, how do we protect that part of us that can be connected to pure unlimited love and make a conscious decision to deal with the external realities that are almost always not ideal?
So you have to turn inward. You have to
Mm,
create an inward life, a spiritual
right.
practice, and hopefully have some kind of a community that shares that practice with you. So, when I define love in the book, just without getting very metaphysical about it, when the security and well-being of another is as real to you as your own, and sometimes more so,
Hmm.
you love that person. And then there are all these expressions of love. But there's also this idea of pure, unlimited love.
Hmm.
And one of my friends here, a well-known family physician, I asked Jeff Trilling, who shows up in the book a little bit. I said, Jeff, he's a mystic. I said, Jeff, how do you think about pure, unlimited love? He's an interesting guy. And he paused and he said, pure, unlimited love is the first thing you see when you close your eyes for the last time, comma, hopefully. So it's really talking about something beyond human experience and even comprehension. Of course, we've actually done some really good papers on recalled experiences of death. And even the very secular New York Academy of Sciences allowed us to use their premises to do a whole day-long conference. And Sam Parnia, who's the head of resuscitation medicine at NYU Langone Hospital, is the guru on this. I was the second author. And that article, we got an award. It was the most highly cited article in the annals of the New York Academy of Sciences in 2023, 22. And so but it was deeper than this sort of near death experience kind of thing. And um, we used a lot of measures of positive psychology, not just did you see a light or did you feel a presence that was
Mm.
sublime, but also um, how did this affect you afterwards with regard to kindness, generosity, uh, gratitude, and so forth. And it was amazing just how people were transformed at these very fundamental human levels. So that's
Is
really
it
where pure
because
unlimited,
is it because they had access to that pure unlimited love, like they felt it,
they
and then
felt that
they just needed to infuse their life with that from that point
yeah,
on?
yeah, they had to be awakened to it.
They had to be awakened to it. Okay.
Yeah. And even if they didn't experience it, and not everybody did, they still had that transformation because somehow they really valued this as their second chance at life, if you will.
Sure.
Um, and they wanted to do better than they had, perhaps. So we have a lot of publications, and Pure Unlimited Love then gets very mystical and very spiritual in its orientation. And again, as my friend Jeff Trilling said, uh, it's what we'll see, hopefully.
Hmm.
I can't guarantee that for you, but hopefully, I do incline to think that it's true.
Yeah.
Uh, but the world is a mess, and you're
It is.
not going to find
I know.
uh, the solution from the cultures around us. Our cultures are so destructive.
Yeah.
I mean, American culture just, although my daughter would just disagree with me on this, to me, I think American culture is just destructive of human life, whether it's
Hmm.
through drug addiction or just violence and hatred and uh, racism, whatever it might be. There's just so much hatred out there. And
Yeah.
what we have to do is in our inner being, find that place to counteract it. And that's the same thing with raising kind children. In that chapter,
Mm-hmm.
and we spent $3 million studying how to do this from the Institute. But one of the key things we've discovered is that when you have a family and your son or your daughter does something that's really distasteful, instead of losing it, screaming bloody murder, much less hitting them, remain scream free if possible, and have a place in your home where you have a statement of core values that the kids have contributed to and agreed to. And
Mm-hmm.
just 7 or 8 simple words: kindness, forgiveness, gratitude, and so forth. Um, Helping others, volunteerism, just has something there, and gather around that. Could be on, taped on the refrigerator door,
Mm-hmm.
and discuss what had occurred. Maybe someone had been really nasty about a neighbor, and suddenly we're talking about how I hate that person. So instead of telling them in a nasty way, don't go around hating people. You can sort of bring it into a conversation, and you create a culture and an agreement about this as part of your family world, and that can ward off the influences of the society around us. But there's just so much negativity,
Yeah.
and yet, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just wondering, Dr. Steven, what if you do encounter people who don't really have the same values and aren't guided by such principles grounded in love and kindness and generosity? Because they're out there. I myself have encountered them quite frequently. And I mean, it's important to hold on to those things that make you the person that you are, but it can be hard sometimes, especially when that other person is operating from a place of, I don't know, cynicism, or they're just very cutthroat. It can be difficult to deal with people like that.
Oh, absolutely. Just realize they'll always be there.
Yeah, I mean, in the corporate world, you see so many of them.
And
I
you're
mean, it's a
almost,
reality we have to face. So, how do we
yeah.
operate from a place of kindness and love when other people are not doing that?
Well, I think I'm optimistic about this because, you know, um, at least in American culture, when they do surveys of kids who are 12 years old, called preteens,
Hmm.
and they ask them what motivates them in life, about a third of them say they want to help others. That's both optimistic and pessimistic.
Hmm.
Pessimistic. So 1/3 of them say they want to help others. 1/3 of them don't say that, but if they get involved in, say, service-based learning in the high schools, which is required, at age 14, um, they come around. If they have good mentors, if they're given choice about what they want to be doing that is beneficial to others, if they are able to tap into their own preferences, maybe something that they feel they can do well, or maybe they just want to do something completely different from what they typically do. But if you manage that experience well, and then also important, debrief. I've done all this for years. Let them debrief about their experiences. That 1/3 comes around, and they begin to realize it's good to be good, and they
Yeah.
take joy in it. But then there is a recalcitrant third, the ones you're talking about, and they just don't get it. Now, it may be the case that in midlife, they will realize the futility of their experience
Hmm.
and they will have a big awakening, a big turnaround. That does happen, but it's not easy. And there's no simple formula for it.
Yeah.
But eventually, I think, I do think there is an internal soul that we all have that is connected, as you know from how I write, with this idea of universal consciousness and love. And even though it's repressed by ideas in our society, which corrupt it and overwhelm it, it's still there.
Yeah. We can
And
all
and it,
access it.
we can all access it, and for sure.